Coming up on 5 Minute News. Country hopes Senate Republicans will support new gun laws. Trump family to undergo questioning in New York civil probe. And Zelenskiy says millions could starve due to blockade of Ukraine's ports. It's Thursday, June 9. I'm Anthony Davis. A rare bipartisan effort in the US Senate to agree on legislation to address a wave of mass shootings could reach a watershed moment today as lawmakers decide whether the drive has enough momentum to succeed. About a dozen lawmakers, led by Democratic Senator Chris Murphy and Republican Senator John Cornyn, are trying to find common ground on a plan that would bolster school security, address gaps in the U.S. mental health system, and keep guns out of the hands of criminals and individuals deemed to be a danger to the public and themselves. Lawmakers, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and his Republican counterpart Mitch McConnell, had expressed hope for an agreement by the end of the week. Negotiators and aides said there was a chance of reaching an agreement in principle, but short of that, lawmakers would have a clearer sense of the scope for further discussions before leaving Washington today for the weekend. Murphy told reporters that his aim was to pass legislation that can stem the tide of shooting deaths in America before the Senate breaks for the July 4th holiday at the end of the month. We need to move expeditiously, but this would be a big, historic deal, and we need to get it right. That's my priority, the Connecticut Democrat said. The effort follows mass shootings in Buffalo, New York, Uvalde, Texas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and elsewhere. Democrats, including President Joe Biden, have called for new limits on gun ownership, including a ban on semi-automatic assault-style rifles and high-capacity magazines, and for raising the minimum age to buy those weapons from 18 to 21. The Democratic-controlled House of Representatives voted on Wednesday on a package of partisan gun legislation that has no chance of clearing the Senate. With the 100-seat Senate split 50-50, Republicans committed to protecting gun ownership rights and gun legislation needing 60 votes for passage, negotiations are aimed at making relatively modest changes that lawmakers insist can still protect lives. Former President Trump, his namesake son and daughter Ivanka, have agreed to answer questions under oath next month in the New York Attorney General's civil investigation into his business practices, unless their lawyers persuade the state's highest court to step in. A Manhattan judge signed off on Wednesday on an agreement that calls for the Trumps to give depositions, a legal term for sworn pre-trial testimony out of court, starting July 15. Another Trump son, Eric Trump, gave a deposition in 2020, but declined to answer some questions. The new agreement comes after a series of setbacks for Donald Trump's efforts to block Letitia James's 3-year-long investigation. James has said the probe has uncovered evidence that the Trump's company exaggerated the value of assets such as skyscrapers, golf courses, and even his Manhattan penthouse to get loans, insurance, and tax breaks for land donations. A lawyer for her office told a judge last month that evidence could support legal action against the former president, his company, or both, though the attorney said no decision had been made. A New York State appeals court ruled on May 26 that Trump had to undergo a deposition, upholding a lower court's ruling that the Attorney General had the clear right to question Trump and certain other principals in his company. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskiy warned that millions of people could starve because of a Russian blockade of Ukraine's Black Sea ports, which he said had left the world on the brink of a terrible food crisis. Russia has seized large parts of Ukraine's coast, blocking farm exports and driving up the cost of grain. Zelenskiy said Ukraine was now unable to export large amounts of wheat, corn, vegetable oil, and other products that had played a stabilizing role in the global market. Ukraine and the West accuse Moscow of weaponizing food supplies. Russia says Ukrainian mines laid at sea and international sanctions on Moscow are to blame. Kiev used to export most of its goods through seaports, but since Russia's invasion on February 24, it has been forced to transport grain by train via Ukraine's western border or via small Danube river ports. Zelenskiy, who was included on Time magazine's list of the 100 most influential people of 2022, said he was grateful to US President Joe Biden for uniting the free world when the Russian threat arose. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.